I have a new video for you guys because we need to talk about Big Ed. He is a character from 90 Day Fiance who is currently being exposed by one of his former coworkers. Her name is Laura Lai, and she claims she had a horrible experience with Ed, and one night he put her into the hospital. This story is serious, and Laura Lai is tired of being silent after being quiet for all of these years. So we're going to talk about this story and why Ed is such a monster. So let's get into it. So I have to be upfront with you guys. I have not religiously watched 90 Day Fiance, but I have seen enough to know that Ed Brown, aka Big Ed, is an absolute creep. I mean, the woman he was partnered with, Rosemary, definitely deserved better, and I am so glad that she is thriving nowadays. But Big Ed isn't, and his past is starting to catch up with him. His former co-worker, Laura Lai, is coming forward with her experience with Big Ed, and it is terrible, guys. Like, honestly, here's your trigger warning now, because she talks about a moment she has with Ed one night where she was literally hanging out and drinking. She has a half glass of wine. She gets up and she's about falling over because she had no idea what was going on. Something was put into her drink, and of course, the culprit is Big Ed. She has actually gone to court with him over this. They have settled outside of court, so he must have paid her some sum of money, and they moved on. But she hasn't, because she still has the pain and trauma that came with dealing with this man. And before we get into this video, I know Big Ed is just not a good guy, and he's a creep. We all know this. But I don't want to make fun of how he looks. A lot of people I've noticed when I've watched videos online, they go for his appearance, and I do want to inform you guys that he actually does have a syndrome that affects his neck and the way that he looks. So before you go and make fun of his appearance, there's really no reason to, because the guy is already an awful man, and I'm going to show you why. So here is Laura Lai, and we're going to walk through some of her TikTok stories because she goes into more detail than she ever has before. She actually first started talking about this in May 2020, right when the quarantine was beginning and life started, or was that, honestly, I don't even know my time anymore. But anyways, she came forward at that point, and the media kind of covered it, but it never really picked up. She did make some TikTok stories at that time too, but they didn't go viral until later on. Now she is coming forward with more details, and this video will show you why Ed is just such a gross guy. So let's go ahead and watch it. It will have a lot of bleeping and censoring in it because YouTube is just not forgiving at all. If you want to go watch the original TikToks, I will link her account below in the description, so go check it out and support her. But let's go ahead and watch.
With how Ed and myself know each other. So essentially, Ed and myself know each other from my previous employment in San Diego back in 2016. And during the course of time that we worked together, which was about 9 months, he harassed me.
Okay, so again, the censoring is going to pop up in this video. I'm not too sure if Laura Lai worked at TLC or if she worked at an interior design firm, because that's where he previously worked before going on the show. I don't know why, but I cannot imagine Ed being an interior designer or even walking into my house and telling me how my house should look. I would just be so taken back. But I did note that she said that this was her former workplace, and I think she actually left over this situation because when she reported it to her work, they were like, oh yeah, he's a creep, like, let it be, and they just didn't care. And she'll explain that later on in the video.
On multiple occasions. And like a lot of situations with individuals who are dealing with violence, it didn't start off as extreme, other than the fact that it was a lot of comments and inappropriate text messages. Oh. This kind of situation can start out as seemingly less extreme, and aka so essentially will start out as something or
So pretty much she's describing the process of, someone who is in a position of power taking advantage of someone who is not, and they do it slowly because they like to test what they can do with you. And that's exactly what Ed was doing to Lorelai in the workplace. And that must have been horrible to get these messages and these text messages from Ed Brown, and he's making you uncomfortable, and he's slowly getting worse and worse.
That aren't as extreme, and then they build upon it to see how far they can go. And this is essentially what Ed was doing with me. He started out with, yes, things that were and verbal, like, but he didn't directly start out with extreme behavior. So essentially in my past video, I stated that Ed was using tactics in order to control me or get what he wanted from me.
So these videos go across a span of, I believe, 6 videos, so I did put them all together and I jumped in between. And the first bit, she's really setting up the scene for what their relationship was like before the attack happened. So
as time went on, essentially he began to touch me in places that obviously were inappropriate and would be considered sexual assault. In addition, he would make comments about my appearance and how much he wanted to have sexual interactions with me and other women with him together. When I stated that I obviously did not want to have these kind of interactions with him, he began to become more aggressive and dominating towards me.
Aggressive and dominating. Ooh, gosh. And I feel like when I do look back on clips of Big Ed on this 90 Day Fiance show, when Rosemary was kind of, like, don't do anything to me, he was like, oh, well, I don't care. He kind of just forced himself on to Rosemary and really just women in general. Actually, Lorelai shared a TikTok on her page where Ed got very, he pretty much forced a girl into kissing him, even though, like, she didn't want to. And here is that video.
Thank you. You can't do that. Why not?
Because she said no. That's why.
So creepy, right? Like, ew, do not kiss me. But let's go ahead and get back to this video.
In my last video, I essentially stated that he became more aggressive or hostile towards me when I clearly stated that I had no interest in these type of interactions with him. So he would use these tactics of control over me in addition to using alcohol as a way to control me. And the night that I ended up in the hospital, I had had 1 glass of wine, and mid drinking that glass of wine, I had gotten up from the table to go to the restroom. And 30 minutes later, I don't remember what had happened aside from him kissing me. And the next morning, he had...
Okay. Oh, hold up. So she's at dinner. She has half a glass of wine. She gets up. She can barely walk. She doesn't know what's happening. She, blacks out, and she's supposedly kissing Ed. And this is when it gets extremely dark.
Me that I don't remember because he had sex with me. Very traumatic.
So they supposedly hooked up that night. And of course, this girl, from what we've seen and heard so far in her story, she never wanted that from Ed, and she's been pretty open with him about that. So he had to do something to her drink while they were out so that he could get her to, do something with him. It's just absolutely sick, and this guy is just full of himself. I mean, even I was watching some clips before this video, and he's so vain for a person who shouldn't be.
To sexual assault, it really messed me up. I had to go into intensive therapy, and with that, I confronted the company about what was going on. They essentially admitted that they knew what he was doing was wrong, but still did not fire him. So I hired a lawyer. We settled out of court, and yeah, I mean, it's just a great example of how survivors do not receive the justice that they deserve. I hope this kind of explains what went down.
It really did, and I'm glad that she did that because I was looking when she first originally shared what happened to her back in 2020. People were really doubtful. I'm not too sure if Big Ed has a bunch of stands out here, but people were defending him and they were telling her like, "Yo, you're wrong. Like, you got the wrong guy. Where's your proof?" And at that point, articles suggest that she was under an NDA because of the settlement. I'm assuming she's still under the NDA, and actually, there are rumors that Big Ed recently sent her a cease and desist for these TikTok videos. So we'll see what happens here. So Lorelai is very open about this situation with Big Ed, and she seems very comfortable talking about it, which makes me think or believe her even more. So what do you guys think about the situation? I want to make a quick video because Big Ed, I mean, gosh, like I've said, he has always given me the creeps, but I feel like this power that TLC has given him by making him an influencer and stuff just, boosted his ego so much that he feels like he's almost entitled to like women now because he's Big Ed. And I mean, in my mind, he should be held as accountable as everyone else, as all of these other Hollywood creeps, and TLC should disavow him and say that they don't stand with this man because of what he has done in his past. And it's not like there's no proof out there. If there was a legal settlement, that means there is paperwork out here that outlines what has happened to her. She obviously seems really hurt over it. It was very traumatic, and that means there could be future women as well. Imagine if, Big Ed goes into there and he makes them sign NDAs and he tries to act all big and tough. I just can already imagine a list of women who's going to come forward against this dude. But I do commend Lorelai on speaking about the situation. It's never easy, and reading some of the articles in the comments back in 2020 when she first started talking about it, it's actually really heartbreaking to see because a lot of people did not believe her and were calling her awful names. She got more dislikes than likes, but things have turned around and people are open to hearing her out and understanding why Big Ed isn't that great. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have a few items to open today. I've got a couple of items because I've got a backlog. So this is from Travis, and it looks like he is from the United States. If you guys did not know, at the end of my videos, I usually open a P.O. Box item. I'm still honestly shook up about this whole Big Ed situation. I've always known that he's been I don't know, on the edge, just what's wrong with this dude? But I've never really been able to pinpoint it or quite understand how bad it was. And now that she's coming forward, I'm sure more people will come forward as well. Sloan, I love your videos. I was introduced from the Britney videos. I appreciate you bringing to light a lot of what you do, giving these people a voice. I would appreciate it if you talk about the situation going on with T.I. and Tiny. Ooh, yeah, Travis. Honestly, I might, because that has been on my list forever, but I haven't been able to find good resources. So if you guys have any, feel free to email me, or you guys can send me any video ideas that you have. Feel free to email me anytime. And then this package is from Melanie. It looks like she's also from the United States. She's actually pretty close to where I am. Her name is, yeah, it's just Melanie. I was going to give it a little initial, but she just put her first name, and she sent me this cute little package right here. Thank you so much, Melanie. I'm still sometimes if you ever see me look to the side, I'm trying to make sure my thing's still recording, because my biggest fear is opening a package when it's not recording and then it's already open. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I would feel so bad if someone missed out on their reaction. So let's see what's going on here. I don't think is there a note? No, okay. So that was that. And oh, I hope there's a note in here. Is there not a note? Oh, this is the note. Okay. Hi, my name is Melanie. Oh gosh, it's jumping. Hi, Sloan. My name is Melanie, and I've been watching your videos for a while now. I love the content you create and the positivity you put into the world. We need more people like you. There are some hemp adjustable bracelets for you and your boyfriend. Oh, she's got an Etsy. It's called True Karma Creations, and an Instagram and a personal Instagram, which I will follow you on. And I'll list her Etsy below, so if you want to go check it out and support her small business, definitely do that, because you guys know my subscribers and we love our small business and our entrepreneurs. So here are the bracelets that she's made, and these are so cute. Oh my gosh, I need to get one on my big heifer wrist. And actually, they are big enough for, bigger wrists. So if you do have a bigger wrist, you don't have to feel insecure about getting these. And I got my vaccine, so I guess it's okay that I put my teeth on this. I don't know. That was probably the dumbest thing I've said. So, wow, thank you so much. I love this, Melanie. And they're like, I love just the feeling of them. I guess it's the hemp of it. It just feels like a really good and sturdy string. So I really appreciate that. And thank you, Travis, for your letter. I will see you guys in a new video soon. Bye, guys.